What's good, everybody? We are back with another Call of Duty Mobile video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. Before we hop into the video, go ahead and let me know down in the comments on a scale from 1 to 10 how shiny my nose is compared to normal. But as you guys know, we do have the test server available for Call of Duty Mobile, which means it's time for us to test out some of the buffs and nerfs. And while it's tough to test out all the buffs and nerfs, because there are a lot of things that can vary from recoil to damage to ADS bullet spread, there are two specific guns that I know everybody is wanting to know whether or not they got nerfed, those two being the HPK and the Akimbo Phoenix. And I have good news for you guys. Those two did in fact get a nerf, as well as what has long been considered the best perk in the game. So we're going to be talking about all of that in today's video. But without any more talking, let's go ahead and hop into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at right here is the HPK Large caliber before the nerf. So this is its current gameplay. As you guys will see, it has a 25 round mag, relatively low amounts of horizontal recoil, and pretty controllable. It does 24 to the lower body and 31 to the upper body at about 5 meters. Pretty close to it anyway. You'll see as we scoot back, there's very little change, not only in the recoil. Obviously, the recoil will change a little bit with ADS bullet spread accuracy. But as you look at the damages, even in the firing range, even though the firing range is not 100% perfect, there's a pretty strong correlation between the stats shown in the firing range. And for some reason, the HPK Large caliber is the only gun that does not properly show the numbers for firing range. So what you're seeing, especially on the longer range targets, are actually not accurate. For 40 meters with the HPK Large caliber, this gun will actually 4-tap all the way up to 65 meters. So what you're seeing is not even the maximum amount of brokenness that the gun actually has. Then we go ahead and move on over to the Akimbo Phoenix, which has probably received more requests for nerfs. So as you can see, the recoil, not really going to be a huge factor for this, primarily because you're using it at point blank. And as you can see, it does 16 to the lower body and 18 to the upper body at about 6 meters. That's the more accurate estimation, since you are standing behind the brick wall right there. When we move it back to 10 meters, still doing 16 to 17 to the upper body, 14 to the lower body. So given the rate of fire it has, still very possible that you're able to take out a person in a close range gunfight, even if they do have good aim, just because you're firing so many bullets at once. Hopping on over to our test server footage, obviously we're going to be able to test the recoil on the test server, and it does seem like there was a little bit of a nerf to the recoil already. To me, it feels like there's a significantly larger amount of horizontal kick, especially in the middle of the spray. We are going to have to hop into an actual game in order to test the damages, because the firing range for some reason is broken when it comes to testing the large caliber ammo. But you can see right off the bat, once it moves back to 20 meters, becoming significantly harder to land all your shots than it is in the current version, just because of how big that right hand kick is. And hopping back to 40 meters, obviously, we're going to be able to take a look there as well. So it looks like there's a significant damage drop-off, with already hitting 15s and 19s, which is not what it was hitting on the main server. On top of the fact that we actually do also have a 1 bullet reduction to the magazine size as well, with 24 being the base size instead of 25. Now, fortunately, I was able to get actually 2 accounts on the test server, so we can actually accurately test these things out. And before somebody asks, yes, I was using the exact same attachments on both HPKs when we were testing the recoil previously. We will go ahead and pull this out. So taking a look, 40 meters should be definitely an adequate amount of distance to test whether or not there is now damage drop off for the HPK. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you're not going to be able to 4-tap from 44 meters. You're actually able to get pretty close to it, but just not quite there. If we move on up to about 20 meters, we'll take a look and see if that changes anything. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Not able to 4-tap from 20 meters, so really big nerf. Keep in mind, on the main server, you could 4-tap from 65 meters. Moving up to about 12 meters. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like probably around the 15 meter mark is where you're going to start to be able to 4-tap, which is definitely a really significant downside on top of the nerf to the recoil as well. Now, fortunately, damage values are a lot more accurate for the Akimbo Phoenix. For some reason, the large caliber HPK is the only gun that doesn't show accurate damage display. And whenever we hop in here, you guys are already going to see a significant decrease. Prior to the nerf, it was hitting 14s and 16s out at 10 meters. So that's a pretty significant drop off. And you're going to see right here doing 10s and 12s, whereas previously it was doing 14s and 16s, like we said. That's going to make it so it's very, very difficult to win gunfights against a skilled player at 10 meters, whereas previously it was still pretty easy with the Akimbo Phoenix. Even though we don't really have a huge nerf to the actual hipfire accuracy of it, that's a pretty big decrease in the amount of damage that it does, especially when you look at the actual percentages and how much it's going to drop off. So this is going to make it so the Akimbo Fennec is really only viable now at point blank. And while it is definitely still going to be a pain getting that much damage, and you're probably still going to lose a lot of really close range gunfights, at the same time, it's definitely a much needed nerf, and it makes it so it's not nearly as viable at those mid ranges. The last nerf I wanted to talk about is the nerf to Dead Silence, which is a very interesting one because for the longest time, Dead Silence has been by far the most overpowered perk in the game, and pretty much anybody who didn't run it was automatically at a massive disadvantage. So this is going to do a number of different things. Number one, at the lower levels of ranked, it's probably going to cause an increase in the number of campers. But honestly, as it is, there's already still a pretty decent amount of campers in the game, so it's not going to be a huge issue. It will cause people to play a lot more passive when it comes to playing Search and Destroy, which I'm not necessarily opposed to because it means that you have to be more tactical, and while it does make it more difficult, I think overall it will create a certain amount of a skill gap, and we'll still have to see whether or not this is going to be a massive change. I don't know if I actually talked about it, but as you can see on the screen, you're no longer going to be silent whenever you're running or when you're sliding. So previously it had been only when you're sliding that you're going to make noise. Now running will also create it. So that is going to open up some opportunities for people to use other perks. I've had people asking me what's going to be my go-to perk. As of right now, especially in the test server, I've been running High Alert just because I feel like it gives you enough advantages to be worth it. Having your screen automatically flash when somebody's aiming in on you is a huge advantage, and in a lot of situations, especially at long range, can end up saving your life. So that one's a really good option. There will be some people that run Hardline and Persistence, and that's part of the reason why I wish they would nerf Persistence, because now that Dead Silence has been nerfed, there's going to be even more people using that, which is definitely not a good thing just because it decreases the skill gap by so much. So on that end, I'm not a huge fan of it, and I hope they do nerf Persistence relatively soon. Otherwise, there's even going to be more of a meta issue. But overall, I'm excited to see how this is going to change the game, and that's going to cover it for all of our buffs and nerfs. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please do me a huge favor. Make sure to drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the squad if you haven't already. We're going to be covering more test server news as it comes out, but that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.